Robschild, nothing I say is investment advice. Welcome to the show where we view financial markets through crystal ball gazing. JP Morgan once said, millionaires don't need astrologers, but billionaires do. And so we begin. Today is Thursday, June 20th, 2024. In today's episode, we will go over the fact that the S&P 500, that's what SPX is, we just kissed an important psychological level, 5,500, for the first time in all of history. Also, we're just going to go over this right now. Global economics. There's some pretty big cracks showing up in the economy of the world globally, mainly being what's going on with the Japanese yen losing value, specifically on some chart patterns. You can watch Gareth Solway's show. We see a dollar breaking out higher against the yen, and the problem here is that this could end up being pretty bad. My understanding is that Japan owns a heck of a lot of U.S. treasuries, and if the yen loses too much value, then in order to support their currency, they might be dumping treasuries. If I'm correct, I believe that's what's going on, and that could actually destabilize a lot of things globally. So that's a big thing going on right now that's worthy of paying close attention to, as well as France. This started a while ago. I thought I'd bring it up today. There's some major problems in banks and the economy. Everything in France is showing a lot of cracks that could spill over into the rest of Europe and into the global economy. Just wanted to mention one of the things going on over there right now is 0% interest housing loans, and I believe locked in until 2027. They're saying so it means that's extreme easing, that they're trying to get their economy going, and it's not going. It's out of gas, if you will. In the United States, we had initial jobless claims. Again, this metric is a report that comes out weekly. The last reading of this was 243,000, expected 235, and instead 238. So not only has other recent data confirmed that we're seeing the economy in the United States cool off more and more, here's another clue. Expected 235. Actual 238 week to week. Granted, it's not exactly higher from 243 of last week, but these are just little things to be paying attention to, especially if they start really getting out of control to the upside. Notably, tomorrow, Friday, is actually so flash PMIs, but more importantly than that maybe is the quadruple witching. Some people are calling it a triple witching. It involves basically a bunch of contracts, stock index options, and futures contracts all expire on the same day. This doesn't happen very often. The long and the short of it is that the giant banks that sell these products want them to expire worthless so that the people that bought them don't get anything. So things can get violent tomorrow in markets just from that. And then looking further out into the future, again, next week's Friday, we have Friday, the Federal Reserve favorite inflation gauge PCE data. If it comes in, as I expect, cooler than expected, one thing that I'm hearing around more and more these days and staring into my crystal ball is that the cooling is starting to get people not just excited about stock valuations going up because of lower interest rates, and that's just good for stock valuations. It's now getting to the point where there's more and more real fear that the economy is actually slowing down. That again, my biggest metric is the unemployment number, and so it's interesting because if PCE is hot, that's bad because it means rates have to stay higher. But if it's kind of a heads I win, tails you lose situation with data right now, I feel like. I mean, really, if PCE comes out super hot, then it's like, okay, then rates have to stay higher for longer, and that kills the economy more. But if it comes in much cooler than expected, then it can indicate that the economy is actually slowing down. That's also a bad thing. So there's no winning when we're at this part of the business cycle. But who cares? Nvidia to the moon. SPX, we didn't have a closing all-time high, all right, but intraday, in other words, in the middle of the day, we did actually hit 55,000. It looks like we opened, well, what does the candle say? We actually opened at 5,499 and 99 cents, 1 cent away from it, and with that little tail here, we broke through it very cautiously and came right back down and closed the day a little bit lower than yesterday's candle. HYT, high yield corporate bonds, smart money, not the smartest money, but this is higher risky bonds. When this drops in value, it's like, this is like my favorite chart to look at to see how much fear there is of people that own the debt of smaller companies. I mean, that's what this represents. And so yeah, this pattern is playing out as expected. I mentioned in our last show, this is an engulfing candle of the past 2 trading days, and it's a pretty big red candle. And so we can expect, at least from this current pattern, that it looks like it wants to get weaker here. Again, with the quadruple witching tomorrow, it's kind of like anything can happen. So yeah, we'll still go through the charts anyway, I guess. DXY, the dollar, by itself against other currencies, breaking out higher, specifically more against, especially against the yen, most notably against the yen. So this, more than anything else, I feel like can help predict where even like the price of commodities or gold can go. Like that might be cooling off if this continues higher. And this was a very powerful move upward. Again, watch Gareth's show to see the dollar versus yen. Seems to be breaking out of a channel that seems kind of scary as far as chart reading goes. Fear and greed index still in fear. Again, it's just so silly to be seeing the value of the S&P 500 basically, that hit all-time highs today, and the fear and greed index is firmly in fear. That never really happens. And, as I've been saying, what I think is going on here is, well, if you don't know already, Nvidia is the main culprit of the S&P 500 going so much higher. It has such a huge weight that if it goes up by 4%, the whole index goes up. And the problem with that is, these machines and people, investors, it's a momentum trade. It's momentum. When it's going up and up and up and up, and it's being chased up. It's getting so dangerous that I'm shaking in my boots right now, in fear or excitement, however you put it. I'm positioned to take huge advantage if the market takes a big dip here, and it looks like it will eventually. It's like, at this point, it's just a matter of how much fuel is left in the tank, the way that I see it. Of dumb money, I guess, of uncontrolled money, of, pattern, like computers that are trading these patterns and just making them happen. A lot of people are going to get hurt, I think, pretty soon. Again, no investment advice here. You may or may not have caught my recent impromptu coverage of the minute-to-minute Bitcoin with this chart. This I stole straight from Gareth Solway, connecting this first spot here is the 20th of March 2024, connecting to this pivot high here, and then we drag down a parallel of that down to here, and then this one is the bottom low to low, and then you drag a parallel up to this high. That's how you get these lines. And so actually yesterday and today we did confirm, well, we are below these trend lines here. My understanding is for Gareth Solway's work anyway, chartist I have a lot of respect for, we have to have a candle that closes, hold on, sorry, I have to reload the page sometimes because it won't let me draw on it. It has to close, if you look at this red candle here, it has to close below the bottom of that wick. So what we really want is on a daily, by the way, the way that this timing of this chart works, I finally confirmed, it's 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And so if you want to follow it yourself, look for 8 p.m. You want a candle at 8 p.m. closing below the bottom of this wick. And so that would be below 64,061, something like that. Gareth Solway shows a lot of fear in Bitcoin as to I think that he is he doesn't want to say it on his show, but I'm fairly certain that he's very, very bearish on Bitcoin. But again, what I love about him is that he's like, I don't tell the chart what to tell. Well, I don't tell the chart what to do. The chart tells me what to do. And so without that confirmation candle, psychologically, the market's going to see that, and it's going to give it, it can give it support to the upside. It can reverse from here still. So we're in a danger zone. We're not in like for sure we're dropping down to 52,000 in it, but we're in a zone where it's like the last battle, the last fight. I mean, all this volatility may be coming tomorrow with quadruple witching. Maybe that's going to be the trigger that really sets it off. But moving on, I'm keeping good track of TLT lately, and I'll bring it up in my shows because this is my biggest holding. I have 50% of everything I own in here. Just notably, this is pretty clearly a bull flag here, and if things get super volatile and the markets start cracking, I would start expecting TLT to. It's all set up. It's like I've been saying in previous shows. All the stars keep aligning for TLT to keep going higher, and so it's what I see happening moving forward. But we'll see. One of the charts I like to check on a daily basis, REMX, I've brought it up in many shows. It's rare earths metals mining ETF. Granted, it's funny. I should mention the disconnect that I seem to have, and I admittedly have. When I look at one chart and I say, oh, like the whole market's going to go down, and then I look at a stock or something that seems really undervalued, and I'm like, this is going to go up. That's actually the opposite of what's true, unfortunately. When the whole market goes down, it even and Benjamin Graham says this explicitly in his book, and he's right. When everything's overvalued, everything becomes at higher risk. So even though if you find something that seems very undervalued, it can become even more undervalued. As they say, the tide coming in lifts all ships, and the tide going out sinks all ships, I guess. But if we take patterns on their own merit, I forgot to say what happened here in REMX. So I just wanted to mention we are at a previous bottom, and so this should act as some support at least. I don't know if we'll keep going down here or not, but I just wanted to point that out. This could be potentially a double bottom to move higher. If markets crack, the one thing that helps the macro view of something like REMX is really gold and silver. And gold and silver can act as a hedge, as a place of money running into it when other things seem to be falling apart, and in that way REMX could potentially benefit from that. Moving on to KWEB, I just noticed a pattern here I wanted to share. It just seems like a pretty obvious bull flag to my eye. So, whoops. Let's draw it. Let's finish drawing it. Here we go. Something like this. You know, you have your pole, you have your flag. So I don't know. Again, I think I'm in China mostly because it's been so undervalued for so long, and you know, I'm not looking for it to go to $1 bazillion a share. I just, you know, I think that $50 per share of KWEB would be a more reasonable valuation, and so it's a little bit of an arbitrage. I see it as sort of a little bit of an arbitrage kind of situation. Not really arbitrage, I guess, just like waiting for things to just like balance out a little bit. Like you put more weight on this side of the scale, and then it's like eventually that's what happens. You take some from that side, put it on that side, and eventually it moves. It's like kind of how I'm imagining it. Very notably silver today. We've had a lot of interesting movement recently in silver. Again, we had this double top pattern that broke and confirmed, and I was thinking, oh, for sure we're like heading down, and then instead we popped right back up, and I'm like, oh, well, it's bullish now. And then we had a larger red candle that engulfed all of this stuff, and then we had a perfect little flag here all up until today, literally today. Instead of doing what normally happens like 60-70% of the time, which would be to break down, here we had a large pop on silver. And so, you know, again with the REMX metals, like if there's a run to metals, you know, run to safety, those stocks might seem attractive to the market, but we'll see. Another chart I follow daily, well, I just check it. I like I explained in one of my videos, I sometimes look at my charts like for 1 second at a time, and I just have my finger control W, 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 W. I just see what's going on and all these things. But for this one caught my eye just because it's really looking like it's really coiling up here. Again, I can't draw. Okay, let's try again. So we were coiling up here just so tight. You know, the arc F, it can have these humongous moves, and we've been just going so tight lately. It's been incredible, really. You know, one way to see this is, you know, is this a very obvious pattern here if you don't see it, and you know, that looks like it wants to go that way. It's really a perfect head and shoulders formation. It has an inclining neckline. It has, you know, very healthy, well-established right and left shoulders. It's at the top of, you know, we haven't seen this high of a price since April 2022. So yeah, it looks like it wants to break down here. Lastly, SMH. This is you know, this is the thing that this could be it. This could be the end of the stock market as we know it. You know, maybe that sounds too crazy. I mean, admittedly, I call the top of the market all the way back here. I keep calling every day. I say, well, it's possible it's a top. Well, again, I'm going to say it again. I've said it a bunch of times, and I'm going to keep saying it until it cracks. I think this can be a top here. You know, the only thing holding up the S&P 500 today really is this SMH, and you know, with Nvidia, and we had this engulfing candle these past 2 days that at least at the very least it looks like it wants to break down here. Alright, sorry for all of the messiness and stuttering today. I'm trying to figure out what car to get. I gotta get a new car, and yeah. But anyway, that's all. That's all for the show. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Friday could be quite a wild day, so hold on to your hats. Robschild.